السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبعد. We're going to continue tonight inshallah with our hadith. Very quickly before we start, I have to remind you brothers that what's happening, the war didn't end, it's still going on. Do not get weak, do not get despair, do not lose hope in Allah's mercy. Know that whatever happens, and I told you from the first day, whatever happens is by Allah's permission and by Allah's will. And this is a test for all of us. Okay? And I told you also, whoever will be patient longer will win and will be victorious. One important thing is that after more than 60 days now, people start losing interest, which shouldn't happen. If you started losing interest, there is something wrong. You need to still be involved. You cannot just let it go. Keep doing whatever you are doing. If you can do something more, do something more. Okay? Just do not give up on your brothers and sisters. Do not give up on your land. Do not give up on your nation. Do not give up on your mosque. This is your nation. This is your brothers and sisters. And this is your battle at the end of the day. Anyway, for us, what we can do, we can do so much, then we should do this much that we can do. Tonight we're going to start with the 24th hadith. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم امسحوا على الخفين رواه أحمد. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, wipe over your khuf, or over the khufs. And this is reported by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala. Actually, the hadith is reporting or addressing the matter of wiping the khuf in wudu, are reported on the authority of 66 of the companions and more. Some of the scholars counted even 80. And from those companions are those 10 who are promised Jannah, al-ashra mubashshiruna bil Jannah. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala said, there is no doubt in my heart about wiping the khufs. There are 40 hadiths about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding that matter. Al-Hasan rahimahullah ta'ala said, 70 of the companions reported to me that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wiped on the khuf. Al-Kamal ibn al-Humam from the Hanafis, Kamal ibn al-Humam said, Abu Hanifa said, I haven't said that wiping the khuf, I haven't said that, like I haven't agreed to wiping the khuf until I received what is like daylight. And I fear this belief for the person or for that who doesn't see wiping the khuf. Like Imam Abu Hanifa said, whoever doesn't see wiping of the khuf over in wudu, I am afraid that he might be a disbeliever for this reason. As the narrations about this matter reached recurrency. Okay? Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala was asked about the Sunnah and the group. ما هو أهل السنة والجماعة? He was asked about the belief of أهل السنة والجماعة. He said, to love the two shaykhs, like Abu Bakr and Umar, and don't attack or dispraise the two Hassans, Al-Hasan ibn Ali or Hussein ibn Ali, the sons of Ali and Fatima, and wipe on the khufs. Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala also made this part of the belief of أهل السنة والجماعة. أن تحب الشيخين ولا تطعن في الحسنين وتمسح على الخفين. Abu Hanifa رحمه الله تعالى was asked about the way of the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. He was asked about the madhab أهل السنة والجماعة. So he answered, to prefer the shaykhain, to love the two sons-in-law like Uthman and Ali, and to see wiping on the khufs. أن يفضل الشيخين وأن يحب الختنين. الختن هم الختن is the husband of the daughter. So they are Ali and Uthman, or Uthman and Ali. وأن يرى المسح على الخفين. So this ruling, المسح على الخفين, is one of the major signs of أهل السنة والجماعة. And denying it is one of the signs of أهل البدع والعياذ بالله. Especially the Rawafid, Shia al-Rawafid. To the extent that Imam al-Tahawi رحمه الله تعالى mentioned this in his book of عقيدة الطحاوية. He said, ونرى المسح على الخفين في السفر والحضر كما جاء في الأثر. And we see wiping on the khufs in urban and travel as it was mentioned in the narrations. In the commentary on this text from al-Tahawi, Imam ibn Abi al-Izz mentioned that only Shia al-Rafida rejected this ruling or disagreed with this ruling. That's why Imam ibn Abd al-Barr said, among other things he was saying, no one denies wiping over the khuf except a disgraced person or an innovator, leaving or out of the Muslim community, like خارج عن جماعة المسلمين. This is the importance of this topic. And from the companions who reported the hadith of khufs, other than the 10 promised Jannah, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and he is one of them, Salman al-Farisi, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Usama ibn Zayd, Jarir al-Bajali, Safwan ibn Assal, wal-Mughira ibn Shu'bah radiallahu anhum jami'an. And this is actually very interesting because Ali reported the masah over wiping the khufs. Salman reported wiping over the khufs. And Shia do not accept this ruling. So Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah radiallahu,
you mean like
we'll come to that. That's why I didn't translate khuf, because we're coming to this details now. Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah radiallahu anhu, Mughira ibn Shu'bah ibn Amir al-Thaqafi, from Thaqif, from Taif. He witnessed Al-Hudaybiyah and embraced Islam of the Battle of the Trench. Like before that, he embraced Islam and attended the great battles like the Battle of Yamama, Yarmouk, and Qadisiyah. He was very smart, intelligent, and wise. He died on 50 after Hijrah in Kufa at 70 years old, and he reported 136 hadiths. He was a tall, majestic man, and he lost one of his eyes in the Battle of Yarmouk, and was said Qadisiyah, but anyways, he lost one of his eyes in the battlefield. On the day of Hudaybiyah, he was standing guard for the Prophet ﷺ. He was covered in armor, so he would only his eye would show, with the sword in his hand. And on that day, when Urwa ibn Mas'ud was trying to talk with the Prophet ﷺ and negotiate with him, and starting to touch the beard of the Prophet ﷺ, so Mughira took the side of the sword, hit him on his hand, pull it back, or you're not getting it, or you're losing it. He said about himself, Al-Mughira, and by the way, Urwa is one of his uncles. Urwa, the one who hit him, like Mughira hit one of his uncles. So at that day, Urwa said, "Who is that person?" So the Prophet, don't you know him? He's one of your, one of your nephews, yeah. Anyway, Mughira said about himself that he was the last person to touch the Prophet ﷺ, touch the body of the Prophet ﷺ. After they put the Prophet ﷺ in his grave, and Ali radiallahu anhu got out, Al-Mughira threw his ring, took out his ring and threw it in the grave, and told Ali, "Oh, I dropped my ring." So he told him, "Go get it." So he went down, took his ring, wiped over the body of the Prophet ﷺ, over the coffin, and came out. He got married 70 times. 70, yeah.
70?
Yeah, 70, okay, or more. He used to marry 4 and divorce 4 at one time. Like he was just, it took in by the batch. Like he married 4, maybe at the end of the year just divorce them and get new 4. Like it was that person. Subhanallah, there were people like this, even from the Sahaba, right? They used to be marry a lot and divorce a lot. Like he would say, I didn't try to hear, but he would say, like, if you marry one woman, we're going to menstruate with her, right? So it doesn't make sense for him, right? If she gets sick, you get sick. If she gets her period, you get your period. So why limit yourself to one? Qubays ibn Jabir said, I accompanied Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, and if there was a city with 8 gates, and you cannot get out of any of those gates except with a trick, you need to do some tricks to get out, he would be able to exit from any door he wants. Like, he's not short of tricks and intelligence. He was the governor of Kufa for Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And when it was his time to die, like we said that he died in Kufa, he said, I advise you to fear Allah. أوصيكم بتقوى الله وأن تسمعوا وتطيعوا حتى يأتيكم أمير استغفروا للمغيرة غفر الله له فإنه كان يحب العافية. So he said, I advise you to fear Allah, that you listen and obey till you get a new ruler, and make istighfar or ask Allah for forgiveness to Mughira. May Allah forgive him, as he used to love wellness. I think this might be a typo, and I think it might be إنه كان يحب العفو, like forgiving. Okay, so what is the ruling for wiping the khuf in wudu? The majority of scholars say that it's permissible, and washing the legs is better. Even though that wiping the khuf is an easiness, is a rukhsah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves his servants to use or to take. Hanabila said no, wiping is actually better. So Hanabila prefer wiping, say wiping is better because this is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, but anyways, everyone says that so it is something permissible or something from the sunnah to wipe. Now we're talking about what is better. Sometimes wiping the khuf becomes mandatory if someone, for example, traveling, and he fears that if he takes off his khuf and starts, washing his leg, he would going to lose his company, or he's going to miss the time, or get captive, or something like that. So in these cases, or that even if he doesn't have enough water, like he has enough water to wash his face, his hand, wipe his head, and only wipe the khuf, but not enough to wash his leg, then he has to do that. And why is it permissible to wipe the khuf or over the khuf? To make it easy for the Muslims to do the worship, especially people who will find hardship in taking their khufs off. Like, not everyone is in this easiness that he can at every time take off whatever he's wearing in his foot and start washing his leg, right? Imagine someone who's working like outdoors, especially in the winter and something like that, So, or someone who's traveling and you don't have enough time to go on and make this washing your leg and so on. So it's an easiness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. You will find that from the intentions of the ruling of the Islamic ruling of the Sharia is to make it easy for the Muslim to do this worship. The purpose is that you are committed to worship and you do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered you to do, but it's not intended to be torture for you. Okay? That's why when you are sick, you can pray, instead of standing, you can sit down, you can lay down, and so on. And similarly, if you're wearing a khuf, you can wipe over it. If you're traveling, you can shorten the salah and collect them together, and so on. So one of the intentions is to help you worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make it easy for you. Okay, what is a khuf? And here started the arguments. Okay. Initially, the khuf is a footwear made of leather that exceeds the ankle. Okay. So it goes to the ankle and covers it. So it's close to the boots. The boots that don't have any laces or anything. The boot they just put on and they're tall. This is the closest thing to a khuf. Okay. So what are the conditions to wiping the khuf? We'll come to socks later, okay? We're going to mention socks. So there are some conditions that are agreed upon. First thing is that you wipe it in wudu, not in ghusl. Like if you have janaba, you don't wipe your khuf. You don't have to take it off. The second thing is to wear the khuf in state of tahara. Like we need to be to do wudu first before putting it on. With some, a little bit of discussion here, if someone did tayammum and then put on. Some of the Shafi'is accept that. Most scholars say no, you need to do proper wudu first. And the khuf itself needs to be made of clean material, like you don't get pig leather and make it a khuf and then start wiping on it, or a leather from a dead animal and start wiping over it. And to cover the mandatory part that would be washed in wudu, like from the front of your foot and exceeds the ankle. And to be able to walk with them. And this is actually also a big title with some details. Hanafis said that you need to be able to walk with them for a farsakh, which is 3 miles. Okay? Don't get surprised by this, because you walk with your shoes way more than that. Okay? So 3 miles is like what? It's like 4.8 kilometers, which is not that long. It's easy. And Maliki said no, normal walking. If something that you walk with, there's no limit. Like if you can walk with them, then you're good. Shafi'i said the normal walking or the normal errands that a person would do for 3 days if he's traveling, because you walk for 3 days in safar. So if you can do the normal errands that you're doing on that day, not walking 3 days, person just gets on, maybe back in the days you would get on a camel, got on a donkey, get on a horse or whatever, and then from time to time he would get down, do whatever he's doing, and then you get back on the horse and so on. So those normal activities, if you can do it while wearing this khuf, then it's permissible to wipe on. Hanbali said common walking, like any normal walking, and stayed on the foot. Why we say stay on the foot? There are 2 reasons here. First thing, if it doesn't stay on the foot, then you don't need it. It's actually it's a burden on you, right? Like why would you wear something that doesn't fit you, right? The other thing, if it doesn't fit in if you walk with it and start falling, then it shows the place that you should wash. Then now it's not covering your leg. Okay. But there are also some conditions that are disputed. Like not all the scholars agree to them. First one, to be free of cuts. Like there is no cuts in the khuf. This is for the Shafi'is and Hanbali especially. They say no cuts are permitted. Hanafi and Maliki permit some cuts. Of course they have some discussion how big the cut can be. But anyway, small cuts are permissible by the Hanafi, by the Hanbali, and by the Maliki and Hanafis. Why? Because this is like, for the Sahaba, most of them were poor, and most of their khufs had this. There's something you cannot, like inevitable. You will have some opening in one of the khufs. You have a cut, no matter. Like a hole. Okay. And then another condition that's largely disputed is that this khuf needs to be from leather, and this is for the Malikis only. The Malikis said the khuf needs to be from leather. Why? Because this is what we knew, what was known. They also said if it's made of cotton or linen or something like that, it needs to be covered in leather, so that it's at the end of the day it is leather. Okay, this is for the Malikis. Other scholars said no, the material doesn't matter. Okay, said no, it doesn't. The material doesn't matter as long as they can be walked with and doesn't pass water. Okay, if they're thick enough, you can you can walk with them and they're thick enough. Of course, if you pour water on them, the water will pass. Even if it's leather, right? But to mean like the wiping water or something that doesn't pass. Okay. And also, like the Malika said, it needs to be leather and knitted. No, you're not closing it with something like Velcro. The Velcro. They don't want something like that. The rest said no, it doesn't matter as long as it fits, as long as it's standing in your foot and it's with the materials that you can use, then it's okay. Then another condition, that it doesn't show the foot, or it's not light or not transparent. Okay. For Malikids, they don't have this problem because they said it must be leather, right? Okay. For Hanafis and Shafi'i said it shouldn't pass the water. Okay, because you're passing the water now, you're getting your leg wet. Then you should continue washing it. Okay, Hanbalis didn't actually consider this a condition and said, but the main thing, we need the leg to be covered. It can be transparent. So to understand this, if you have like a boot that is somehow transparent, like imagine there's a material like this thick and it's transparent, semi-transparent. This dispute would affect the ruling. For Hanbali said no, we don't want to see the leg. It should be something like as if you're wearing something in your salah, right? To make it doesn't matter how thick it is, but the most important thing that you don't see your skin, right? Same with the khuf. And they didn't consider passing of water or not passing water. Okay, they didn't consider this point. So how to wipe? Again, there are some dispute with this. By the way, I'm just mentioning this because of two reasons. Like, this is not a fiqh class. Okay, if this was a fiqh class, I would tell you, okay, the conditions are 1, 2, 3, and this is how they do it, and that's it. I wouldn't go in this details. This is a hadith class, and one of the main reasons I'm mentioning this, because I need one of my intentions is that to know that it's not black and white. There's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of dispute, there's a lot of opinion that that is enough for us to come together, right? And doesn't, like, if I'm wiping on something leather only, you don't tell me why you're doing this. You're not following the hadith. No, I'm following the hadith. And this is how we understood this hadith. Others, when they wipe on something else, no, they have a valid understanding of the hadith, and this was said by a lot of scholars before them. So this is the main thing. I want you to know that there is a lot of discussion, there are a lot of opinion, that when you give your brothers excuses and understand where they're coming from, this is the main thing. For the rulings, you have the fiqh class, you can check with the fiqh class. If you want like a short answer, you can check with them. For now, I'm just trying to broaden your vision, make you understand the discussions about this matter or about this topic. Okay, how to wipe? And I'm telling you this again because, like, I've heard it before, like saying, "Oh, if you wipe, it's a bid'ah to wipe from top and bottom." You've heard this, right? Yeah, you've heard this, right? Well, actually, it's a valid opinion, regardless of which one is stronger. It's a valid opinion. It was said by a lot of scholars and by some of the Salaf. Okay, so have this tolerance to your brothers, as long as we're coming from the same place. Those are all opinions of Ahlul Sunnah al Jama'ah. These all opinions from the Muslim community, the main Muslim community, not of the innovators, not from Ahlul Bid'ah. Understand this and have tolerance to your brothers. Have this, give excuses to your brother and understand where they're coming from. This was one of the main targets. Anyways, so Hanafis say, okay, wipe from the top with at least 3 fingers. Okay, Maliki said no, you must wipe the upper, and you must wipe all the upper or the most of the upper side, and it's recommended to wipe from down, like you wipe it like this from up and down. And Shafi'i said wipe any part of the upper side, as long as from the upper side any part would do. Hanbali said you wipe most of the upper part. Regarding timing, 1 day and night for a residing person and 3 days with their nights for a person who is traveling. Malikis didn't consider timing for this, for some narrations and so on, but even some of like Ibn Rushd said no, that this is a stronger opinion, like timing it is stronger opinion. So when does wiping the khuf end? Like you started wiping it, when does it end? When you have janaba, if you have janaba or menses or something like that, then it's over, you don't wipe again. And when you take the khuf off, when you take the khuf off, either one or both of them, then it's done. Okay, what to do is another discussion. Do you only wash your leg? Does it invalidate your wudu? That's another discussion. And when the time is over, when you said the day and night, you started wiping, like now, after you invalidated your wudu, count 24 hours or 70 or 72 hours, right? Or if there is a big cut, like a big cut, it's stripped out, it's not valid anymore, like the khuf is gone. Okay? There are also things that are disliked in wiping khuf. First thing is repeating them wiping. wipe it once. It's an easiness for you. Like there's an easiness for you to make it easy for you, and it's only wiped once. That's it. Wiping more than once, you're doing something. You're not getting this easiness, and you might be actually ruining the khuf, right? The other thing is washing the khuf. Maybe you just putting it under the faucet or under the tap and start. No, it's only wiping. Okay.
When you starting from the wiping.
Yeah.
And the end of it, like it's just like you put over these.
We just mentioned that.
Sorry.
Yeah, we just mentioned that. It's the mandatory part is the upper part. Okay. How much you wipe is disputed. If you wipe it from the top like this, you're good. As we mentioned now, the Maliki's consider wiping from bottom too as a recommended, not mandatory. Because there are some narrations regarding this matter too. Okay, so this is the topic. All that we mentioned now was about the khuf. Okay, with all the discussions. So what about, or how about socks? And we mentioned, okay, socks, when we mention socks, there is, when I mention the conditions now, socks is not, it's mentioned and it might have many meanings. Okay, so wiping over the socks or the footwear made of cotton, wool, whatever. As you mentioned from a little bit, that a lot of scholars said it doesn't matter what the matter of khuf is, as long as you can walk with them and they're thick enough that they don't pass water, right? Okay, majority of scholars said wiping over socks is permitted with two conditions. What are those two conditions? Like with one of either, you don't have to have two. That either they are covered with leather, so they don't pass the water, or they have outsoles. Like if they have leather, then we can walk with them and they're not going to go bad, right? Or if they have like outer soles and they're thick enough that you don't pass water. Okay, this is the opinion of the majority. Okay, Shafi'is, like Imam Nawawi, and this is the problem when you take fiqh from the books of comparison fiqh. They tell you the headlines, but they don't tell you the details. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah mentioned that it doesn't matter what material the khuf is it from. Doesn't matter if it's cotton, linen, whatever. But the same person mentioned in the continuation of this thing that it shouldn't pass water. Like for Imam Nawawi and for the Shafi'is, it doesn't need to have an outer sole. It doesn't need to be. It can be from out of any material, as long as you can walk with them for this, do the normal errands that a person would do, and it doesn't pass water. Okay. Anyways, this is the opinion of the majority. Imam Ahmad rahmahullah ta'ala had there are two narrations about Imam Ahmad. One of them, he said the socks for the people, like for the Sahaba, was something close to the khufrat. They would just walk with them in the street. Okay. The other stronger narration about him, and the more dependable narration about him, is that he said you can wipe on the socks with two conditions. It's thick that you don't see the foot, you don't see the color of the foot, you don't see the skin, and that you can walk with them without limit or without falling. That if you walk with them, they don't fall from a leg and expose it. Okay, and this is why this is the fatwa for the socks. That people make fatwa for the socks regarding the madhab of Imam Ahmad. This is what they say, that they need to be covered the leg and they don't fall when you're walking. I always remember this thing. I don't know if you remember this. A while ago, they used to give socks on aeroplanes.
Yes.
Yeah, just for warmth. But if you walk with them, they just fall directly. Remember this?
Yes.
Yeah. So those socks are not valid because once you start walking with them, they're going to expose your leg, right? But normal socks that they will stand in the leg, then you can wipe over them. This is also reported about Abu Yusuf and Muhammad ibn Hassan rahimahullah ta'ala. Okay. The main thing is reported by them, but this is not the dependable opinion in the Hanafi madhab. The Hanafi madhab said it doesn't matter what material it is. It's okay to wipe on socks, but it must not pass water. Okay?
What about Hanbali? Does it matter the material?
No, it doesn't matter to you.
So for both of those methods, I could literally take like a garbage bag and put it around my foot and tie it.
No.
And that would-
No.
Why not?
Because it's not a khuf anymore. Okay, they said that if you tie a piece of cloth on your leg, it's not a khuf. If you tie a piece of cloth, if you get a piece of cloth and just tie it on your
Yeah,
leg,
would it be a sock, right?
no, it's not a sock. A sock is a sock. A sock is a sock. All of us wearing socks here, no? Right?
Because-
No one is putting a garbage bag in his leg.
But if I made a plastic sock, though, it would count.
Okay, this is a good question actually. What if you have a sock out of silicone?
Yeah, if it was like
Yeah.
a thin thing, it would count.
It would, yeah,
Latex, it would count.
yeah, or latex or whatever, right? If it's thick and doesn't see, you don't see the color of your foot, wipe over it.
If you had that latex that you spray and it gets hard.
Yeah, if it gets hard, if it's sock that you can put on and off, right? Like I've seen this.
That's not one condition that you have to pull it on and off, though.
I'm not saying you're spraying it and leaving it. I'm saying if I don't know how they manufacture it, but what I'm saying, telling you, if there is a sock that is made of plastic, made of latex, made of whatever, that people use to get warm or whatever, and they can put on and off, and they can move around with it, and it's thick that you don't see the color of the foot, you can wipe on it according to the Hanbali method.
But you mentioned the condition that you have to be able to take it on and off. That's the condition that you just made up right now, right?
What made up?
Because that it can be taken on and off.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
it's
it's
one-time
normal.
use socks, you know, that you can't take them on or off as soon as you take them off.
No, actually, the scholar said that things that get ruined in a day or two are not valid for.
But isn't it valid until it is ruined?
No,
until
no,
there's a hole?
no.
Until you can see the foot?
No, if it's something that temporary that you use for a day or two, it's not a valid thing that you wipe on. Okay? It was reported that the Prophet ﷺ wiped over his socks and sandals, or socks and slippers. Okay? And some of the scholars authenticated the hadith. Okay? However, most of the scholars did authenticate this hadith and consider this narration wrong. Because this narration is about Mughira. And what is known about Mughira, from the nation of Mughira, maybe 70 or more reported about him, that the Prophet ﷺ wiped over his khufs, not his socks and sandals. Okay? From those scholars who said that this narration was wrong, Sufyan al-Thawri, Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Yahya ibn Ma'in, Imam Muslim, and others. However, wiping the socks was reported about 9 of the companions. 9 from the companions reported wiping over socks. Again,
Three reported that they did
they
it.
did it, or about them, that they did it, okay?
Like the cloth or the sock?
The socks, we're talking about socks now, okay?
What word do they use for sock? What word in Arabic is
Jawrab.
Jawrab?
Yep.
And under no circumstances can jawrab be interpreted as the khuf.
No, Jawrab, khuf. This is a thing and this is a thing, okay? بيسامحك يا Adam, you made me forget what I was saying.
You're talking about companions that wore that.
You always distract me. Okay. Bismillah.
I think
We're
it's
talking
Uh,
about the
Bismillah.
Rasul.
So this hadith about the Prophet ﷺ, some of the scholars authenticated, Shaykh al-Albani rahmahullah, Shaykh Ahmad Shakir, Shaykh Gamal al-Din al-Qasimi, and others, Imam al-Tirmidhi, they all authenticated this hadith. But the people or the scholars who said no, it's not authentic, are like every one of them outweighs the oath. Like Imam Ahmad outweighs those who authenticated it.
Outweigh them.
He outweighed them.
Yeah.
Like Imam Ahmad alone outweighed them. Imam Sufyan al-Thawri outweighed them. Abdul Rahman al-Mahdi outweighed them. Imam Muslim outweighed them. Okay? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I went into this detail because I wanted you to know that wiping the socks, even though it's permissible, is not the same thing as a khuf. Why? I heard the fatwa from one of the big sheikhs a while ago, and غفر الله له. It was a weird fatwa. He was asked, what do you say about those who don't wipe over socks? He said, oh, those are similar to Rawafid. غفر الله له, this is totally wrong. This fatwa is wrong. Because even though most of Ahl Sunnah say that it doesn't matter the material of the khuf, what material of khuf is, they have conditions that doesn't apply to our socks at all. Like, to be clear again, our socks is only valid to be wiped on according to the Hanbali method only. Okay? And of course the Zahiriyya, but it's not like Imam Ibn Hazm rahimahullah, but this is not, their opinions are not that strong or not that important. Okay, so this about this hadith. We took 35 minutes. Do you want to continue another hadith or?
A few questions.
Oh, you have questions? Okay, go on with the question.
It's three, a few questions. So, number one, when you say covers the foot, or even the sock has to be above the
Yeah,
ankle.
yes, this one is short.
Short, it can't. Okay. The other thing, sorry, is when you say walk around, again, we talk about walking around like doing errands. Like people don't walk around in socks.
Yeah, so that's why that's why Hanabali said absolutely, like absolute walking, whether it's in the mosque, whether it's in it doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
Because actually some scholars said does it need to be in dirt and mud and sand and all, or does it need? Hanbalis didn't mention that. They just walk with it because the purpose or the intent that it doesn't fall from your leg.
Okay.
This is what they mean by you can walk with it. That you can walk, it doesn't fall and expose your leg.
So if I woke up, I make wudu during the day and then I go to work, it's preferable that I do masah over my shoes.
Not
and
your
over my
shoes.
sock.
No, not your shoes. Your sock.
My other?
Your sock. Unless you're wearing like a safety boot or something. This is
Okay.
nothing. If you're wearing a long boot, then you can wipe on it. But a short.
No, a sock. Okay, if I'm wearing
Yeah.
socks and shoes.
No,
So
it's
I take off my shoes and
yeah,
shoes?
preferable the sock. Yeah.
Preferable the sock.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
If you're going to wipe, but you have a proper sock, like a sock that is
understood
thick
the
and it's
conditions,
long. Yeah.
okay, yeah. No, because I thought, because again the socks we can't walk with them, then it's preferable to do it over the shoe.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
guys, just because-
okay, you know those socks that are very light that even if you walk around with them on carpet would
Yes,
have cuts.
yeah.
You don't wipe on those, but other socks like the normal socks you can wear like
Like a
even
sports sock.
even here now in winter you can wake up, wear the sock, go to work and come back and then use them in home and
Right.
maybe till you sleep you're putting them on and they're standing well in your foot and they're not cut or anything, right?
Yes.
So this is walking with them.
Okay, so it's preferable always on the sock than on the shoe. If I'm wearing.
If you have a boot
Yes.
that is like
Slip on.
like a slip-on boot, it's better to wipe on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
It doesn't matter if the sock gets wet, if your foot gets wet.
No, it doesn't matter. To mention that passing water is not considered for Hanablis. They don't consider this. Other scholars say, like we said, Hanafis say no. Malikis say Hanafis say no. Shafi'is say no. Malikis said you can't wipe except on leather. So obviously
Why do
leather.
you say Hanabila are right? Why do you say there's the correct?
I didn't say Hanabila is right, and I'm not here to say to tell you this opinion is correct or not opinion is correct. I will mention when you were out that if you want to have a final or the thing in short or the final conclusion, ask your sheikh in fiqh.
I thought you said
Okay.
like Hanabila.
What I said that people who give fatwa to wipe over their socks depend on the madhab of Hanabila. Okay, this is what I'm saying. What I do myself, I do this sometimes because it's not easy for everyone to take off their take off their socks, right? Sometimes you are at work, sometimes you're in a place that you cannot take off your socks. So what I do is that even if I don't intend to do it, I try to put on a proper sock that fulfills the conditions. So that if I need it, I can do it.
Why do the scholars base their fatwas on the Hanbali opinion though?
I'm telling you that scholars will say you can wipe on your socks based on the Hanbali method. Because there are scholars that will tell you cannot.
Okay,
Right?
Gotcha.
I'm telling you that people who say you can are basing it on this saying by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala.
I'm confused about the answer that you gave brother here.
Mm.
When he asked about the shoes, when he wipes with the shoes while he has the socks as well.
Mm.
Doesn't the shoes be considered as a khuf in this case?
If it's short, it's not a khuf. If there's like our normal shoes,
Like this.
if it crosses the ankle, then it's good. Yes, it's close to a khuf. Yeah.
Okay. So we can wipe on it whether while it's on the socks as well.
Yeah.
I actually have a question about like before we.
Sorry, Ahmed. Especially if it's not, it doesn't have laces. If it doesn't have a shoelace,
Yeah.
it's more like a khuf. Shoelaces are a little bit problematic because Hanabilas don't accept that. It needs to be a slip-on, not a.
So before I wipe on the socks, I have to be actually wearing out on a state of wudu.
Yeah.
What if I am not too sure? Like so.
Take it off.
Like, okay.
Take it off. Okay. So this is a ruling. This is a ruling. You know. And I'm going to tell it in Arabic. I'm going to translate. الشك في الرخصة يبطلها.
الشك في الرخصة.
في الرخصة يبطلها. Okay. If you doubt the reason to have an easiness, then it's not valid. Like let's say someone is traveling. He didn't know that it, this distance that he already is traveling, is it considered a safar or not? Then it's not safar. Okay.
Okay, so my argument was that if you have doubts whether you are on a state of wudu or not, you can actually pray, right? No, I'm
No.
talking about
If you're certain you
about
have
here
wudu first.
or wiping. It's not like I'm just saying like.
I didn't hear him. Say again, Ahmed. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm saying I'm not talking about like socks or wiping socks or anything right now. I'm talking about like I want to pray and I'm not 100% sure whether I am on a state of wudu or not.
Okay,
I think
so-
at this case I can
Okay.
consider myself.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you that because there's a dispute around this point too. The majority of scholars say that if you doubt, then you turn to the state that you are sure of. Like you were sure that you made wudu, but you are not sure if you invalidated wudu or not. Like you know that you woke up, you made wudu, went to Salat al-Fajr, and then went to work. And then after when it's Dhuhr time, you don't know if you kept your wudu or not, right?
Yeah.
Then you said then you're still on the state of wudu. Okay?
Okay.
You know that you did the same, and you know that when you went to work, you use the washroom, and don't remember that you did wudu or not. Then you are not on wudu. Okay? This for the majority. Maliki said no. If you doubt it, you will make wudu, unless it becomes like pertinent. You're always in the state of down. They said no.
Yeah. But
Okay.
in all cases, that's not applicable for wiping on the socks because like الشك في الرخصة.
If you don't know that, if you don't remember that, you know that you wore the socks, but you don't remember was it before or after
Yeah.
invalidating wudu, then then you consider it was after invalidating wudu. Okay, because you're not sure that you have the reason to wipe.
I see.
Okay, or the permission to wipe. Okay, other questions? You have the question?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
So I have a shoe that covers the
Yeah.
ankle. That's a leather shoe.
Okay.
And my socks also covers the ankle.
Yeah.
And from my office, it's not a situation like I can take the shoe
Yeah.
off. And so I used to wipe it one
Yeah.
wipe like here
Yeah.
and one from the back as well. So is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Do we need to do 3 wipes or like?
No, one wipe. Said only
one
wipes.
is fine?
It's only wipe.
Okay.
When I was said like from up and down, they say that, and this for the Maliki especially, say you wipe like this and this, okay? But again, like a lot of scholars say no, you don't need to wipe the down. And
Okay.
even for Maliki, this is for as a recommended, not as the mandatory. The mandatory part is always up, okay? And you said for Hanafi it's just the amount of 3 fingers. Shafi'i is anything, and for Hanbali it's just wipe on top, most of it.
Okay. So
Okay.
one is fine.
So one is fine, yeah. And it's only, and we said actually that it's disliked to repeat wiping because it contradicts the easiness,
Okay.
and it might, ruin your shuf, right?
And if my shoe does not cover the ankle, then I have to take the shoe off and wipe on the top.
So on the socks, yeah.
Right. Okay. That's 2-1 each. That's 2-1.
Well,
One wipe.
One wipe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I wipe both feet together?
It's easy. You wipe right and left, wipe right and left, it's easy. Like there is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ wiped both, but the hadith is not authentic. So it's easy. It's not that strict. You can do whatever. Yes, sir.
Jazakallah khair for
Allah
the
yakir.
explanation, but I want to give you a practical example of this.
Please.
In our office, there was a washroom, and we were given a big room for, masalla.
Mhm.
Alhamdulillah, many brothers used to come
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's still there in the office. So what happened is people from India, Pakistan, those who were following Hanafi,
Mm.
including myself,
Mm.
we used to wash our feet.
Mm.
So we'll put our feet in the wash basin, we'll wash it, and when you bring it down, there are sprinkles on the floor.
Mm.
And then local people, including white people, they'll come and then look around and they'll say, what the mess is
Yeah.
this? Right? So,
Even local or non-local, I know it gets messy, and
yeah. So
Mm.
So the other brothers who were following Shafi other fiqh, they said, brothers, you are creating problems. And I recognize that. Yeah, this is a problem. Either we should clean up the floor or do something, but sometimes local people will come and they will look at us and they'll say, oh, what the Muslims are doing. They don't have etiquette.
Yeah.
So because of the Muslihat, we decided, okay, let's not wash, right? Let's not wash our feet, because according to Hanafi, as far as I know, this answer I got from Masjid al-Haq, we were told no, socks is not acceptable.
Yeah, because they pass water, especially our socks here.
Right.
But something like the Uggies, you know the Uggies? Those, those no, not the leather, like they are like some like boots, which is actually cotton, thick cotton, and with an outer sole.
Right, right.
Yeah, this is considered a proper sock for Hanafis.
Right, but anyways, some of the brothers were still not comfortable, the Hanafi brothers. I decided that I am not scholar, but looking at the scenario here, we are creating a big problem for ourselves, because most likely the management will say we are closing this washroom or we are closing this musalla, because you guys are creating
Too messy, yeah.
So what I am doing right now is, like the brother said, I make wudu in the morning, I put on my socks, I go to the office, when it's Dhuhr time, I just do masa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Although I know the Hanafi fiqh doesn't allow it. So
I know.
What
that.
should we do in this scenario? Like all these brothers may be facing the same problem.
I know. Like I'll tell you something.
Just wipe the
I'll
sprinkles.
tell you something, brother. Like I'll tell you something, brother, because I work in an office too. Like, I work and I have the same exact situation that you say.
Yeah.
Okay, luckily our office has like single washrooms, and out of days I don't wear my sock on state of wudu. So what I would say that, and this is actually not related to this topic, but it's something that we should take care. When you do wudu, wherever you do it, you should dry after yourself. Dry the counter, dry the floor, clean it, leave it as clean as much as you can, because it's like your signature, right? Like, it differs a lot when you go in the washroom after a person and you see the yellow juice all over the place, right? And you see it, and you start, and then shall I drag him from his neck and make him clean this, or shall I clean it and just, don't talk, or what shall you, and I'm talking about non-Muslims, I'm not talking about Muslims, right? Muslims normally don't do that. So this is like common sense and common courtesy, right? So this is a thing that you should do. Like if you get the place wet, dry it. Wipe it with a towel and whatever. And this actually, it says a lot about ourselves as people, right? Are we considerate? Are we have this courtesy or not, right? So this is the first thing. The second thing about wiping the socks, if you got a fatwa from a scholar that you can trust, that you wipe the socks, you can wipe the socks, of course. Okay? I myself, I follow Madhab al-Hanabali in this, and I try to limit it, but sometimes I do need it. Whether in the office or whether sometimes I'm on the road, and I'm traveling, or I'm just on the road for something, like going to a job site or whatever, and I need to pray. So I would but I take precautions. I get ready for the thing from the morning, and when I do wudu, I just put a proper sock. I find that I try to look. I don't want to wear a sock with holes or a sock that is light or something like that. I wear a proper sock so that if I need, I can wipe on it. If I don't have this problem, then I wash my foot. Okay, so it's a combination about common sense and common courtesy. This is aside, and the other thing about the Shar'i regulations or Shar'i ruling. If you get a proper fatwa from a person you trust or a scholar that you trust, you can follow it and nothing upon you, right? Like even though whether you are an Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, whatever, it's not set in stone. It's not that you cannot take an opinion from another method. But the main thing is that you're not following your whims. You're not just picking and choosing, and
That's why shopping.
yeah, you're not just picking and choosing whatever you want. And if you are not a scholar, you get a proper fatwa from someone who knows what he's telling you. This is the main thing, right? Because sometimes there are some considerations, like, we mentioned that scholars have disputed some conditions, like you cannot get, you cannot not consider all those conditions, so that at the end you are in a state that all of them will tell you, no, you're doing it wrong, right? Like you cannot get a sock. Yeah, you cannot get a sock that is clear and then wipe it, because the Hanbalis don't say that, right? You cannot get a sock that is with big holes and wipe it, because Hanbalis don't say that. Like the easiest thing in Hanbali's madhab is what Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah said, and his both Al-Majd ibn Taymiyyah and Taqi ibn Taymiyyah, like the grandfather and the grandson, both accepted small holes in what you're wiping. Okay, so this is the easiest thing in Hanbali method. But you don't go on with like holes like this big and say, okay, because not all scholars agree to that it must be free from holes, right? So that's why I'm saying they don't mix and match and just chop for whatever opinion. You need to make something that's proper. That's why I'm telling you, when you ask us a scholar who can tell you what is right. Okay?
Could you read the hadith that you said that Imam Muslim وسفيان الثوري and عبد الرحمن
أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم توضأ فمسح على جوربيه ونعليه، أو مسح على توضأ ومسح على الجوربين والنعلين. Okay?
So the ones that said that was weak.
And I'm telling you, this Imam al-Tirmidhi reported the hadith, and he said that this hadith, I don't remember when he said authentic or good. And there are a lot of scholars who said that this hadith is acceptable. Okay? But those scholars are contradicted, are outweighed by those who said no.
Okay.
Like even some scholars say wouldn't narrate this hadith, say no, this hadith is wrong, not going to narrate it. Like Imam Abu Dawud rahmatullah mentioned this in his Sunan, in his book, right? So this hadith is disputable. And even Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah mentioned in Zad Ma'ad when he said mentioned this hadith and said that this hadith is weak, but Imam Ahmad rahmatullah depended on this fatwa of wiping the socks on what was reported about the Sahaba from them, about themselves wiping on socks. Okay? So again, this hadith is weak.
So of the ones that found it weak, how many of them just like don't consider socks as appropriate for wiping whatsoever? It's only khuf.
No, it's not like that. Again, and again.
Some of them rely on the Sahaba, I
No,
understand.
because you went out and you didn't come. you didn't hear a lot of that. I'm going to mention it. Okay, Imam Malik rahmahullah ta'ala do not accept anything except leather or something that was covered in leather. Okay? And he said what was reported about the Sahaba wiping their socks is the socks that were covered with leather. Because this is what we know in Hijaz. Okay? So he accepted wiping on the socks, but said those socks that we know that are normally covered in leather. Okay? Imam Abu Hanifa rahmahullah ta'ala, first he didn't say he said the socks to be wiped, it need to has a sole so that you can walk in, because if you don't have a sole, they're no use for them and they'll be cut easily, right? Okay, and then
I heard this, I was here for that. But my question is, not necessarily with the madahib, but the ulama that you mentioned that said the hadith was weak, did they just fall in line with the madahib?
okay, the madahib, the scholars that I mentioned, they're all scholars of hadith, except Imam Ahmad rahmatullah and Sufyan al-Thawri. I don't know the madhab of Sufyan, but I know the madhab of Imam Ahmad. Imam Ahmad said that this hadith is weak, and said you can wipe on the socks depending on what the Sahaba did.
Okay, so that they only relied on
On what the Sahaba did,
yeah.
right?
There's no hadith sahih for this.
No, there are actually this hadith and another hadith, but both are very weak.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, to be honest, some of the scholars said that this hadith is authentic. I told you, from the modern days, Sheikh Ahmad Shakir rahmatullah, Sheikh Al-Albani, Sheikh Muhammad Jamaluddin Qasimi, and others, right? But those scholars are outweighed by the others who said no, it's not authentic. Okay?
So conclusion, الله رخصه.
Allah يبارك فيك. صحيح. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes for us to take his ease. Okay? What I wanted to say, and you were, I think you were out for this part too, that when I'm mentioning this, I mentioned because I wanted to broaden your vision. Know that it's not black and white. The scholars have different understanding in this, and they argue or have different discussions about the conditions. And as I'm telling you, for example, when Imam Malik mentioned that it must be leather because he said that it is what we know, right? And Imam Ahmad in the other narration, he said this sock was for them like the shoe or like a khuf for you. They would just go out and do their errands with it. So the cloth sock is not considered. This from the other narration, okay? So this is the thing, like when they say, okay, from where do we get that the khuf must be higher than the ankle?
Hard at the ankle.
Higher than the ankle.
Higher
Taller than the ankle, like it must cross the ankle.
because they did it in the place of washing your feet in wudu, so it's considered like it should be covering the foot.
What is
So
the
it
difference
starts
between a
with-
khuf and a shoe?
uh,
It crosses the ankle. Why? Because Arabs do not call something that doesn't cross the ankle khuf. They call it na'al. They call it jumuq. They call it whatever they call it. What crosses the ankle, they call it khuf. That's when the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he mentioned with them what the muhrim shouldn't wear, he didn't wear the burnous or the sarawil or and should wear a na'al, okay? And whoever doesn't find a na'al should wear a khuf and cut it lower than the ankle, which means that the khuf is something that is higher than the ankle, right? Yeah. So that's why, like, again, why I'm telling you this, because those conditions are not arbitrarily. That depend. When the Shafi'i said that you need to wear the khuf, that it needs to last during the time that a person who's traveling would do his normal errands for 3.5, for 6 months, whatever, right? They are durable. You wouldn't buy a shoe that would, go bad in a week, right? If it's cut in a week, go throw it to the store. Then take your crab and give me another one, right? Right. So that my main concern or my main target here was to mention that I had two things in mind. First thing, I wanted to make it clear that yes, you will hear different opinions.
it's nuanced.
But those different opinions are not arbitrary, are not out of thin air. They're not, scholars just don't do it this. There is a reason for that, okay? And they're stated for a reason. This is number one. Number two, I wanted to tell you that there's a big difference between a khuf and a sock. Why? Because I told you that this Shaykh, rahimahullah ta'ala, and ghafarallahu lahu, gave this strange fatwa, which is obviously wrong, right? Maybe he was living in a place that he didn't see it, but like in other places, in other countries, the norm is that the people don't wipe on the socks because it's not allowed according to what they know from their scholars. And they're Ahl Sunnah, right? They don't wipe on the sock because they don't wipe on khuf, no, because that this doesn't fulfill the conditions, right? So that's what I wanted to say, that again, from the stupidity of the brothers, and I'm sorry to say that but they're stupid. You can find two brothers fighting because one of them is wiping his sock and the other one is not. Like this guy is fighting from the second guy because he's wiping over his sock, and the second guy is fighting with the first guy because he's not wiping over his sock, right? This is something that is it is wide enough for us. There's a wide space for us. Yeah, mas'ala wasa, right? We need to know how to tolerate each other. How to excuse each other, understand the reason of each other, right? This is the main thing. Like, if you're fighting over these things, like, what do you expect? How do you expect anything good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَنَزَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. Right? Remember this, Laylatul Qadr, the knowledge of Laylatul Qadr, we were deprived from it because two of the Sahaba went to an argument. Two of the Sahaba went to an argument. The Prophet ﷺ knew when Laylatul Qadr would be. Okay, and he was going to tell us when Laylatul Qadr is. And then two of the Sahaba argued and he had this, heated discussion. So this knowledge was raised from this ummah.
I didn't know that.
Okay, for this argument, right?
Yes, yes.
So imagine, so things that are easy and are probable, we need to understand each other. We need to get together. We need to have this tolerance towards each other. We need to give each other excuses. Remember last time I told you that wiping the foot is from Ahlul Bidah, and the vast majority of Ahlul Sunnah don't say that. And you see that when you go to a place where there's a fit, you can see them clearly wiping on their legs, on their feet, right? And they don't wipe their socks, their khuf. Right? And this is a sign of Ahlul Bidah. I don't think they are Ahlul Bidah. And we mentioned Ahlul Bidah are not the people who would not follow the same opinion as doing